What's good, y'all? This is Evan from DMV Sports Zone giving you another update on all things DMV sports. First, we're going to talk about the NCAA tournament since it's the biggest news of the week. And we're going to start with the Virginia Cavaliers. So Virginia had a pretty good run in the ACC tournament before ultimately falling to Duke in the ACC championship. The Cavaliers land as the 4 seed in the Southern region, and they will take on Thursday the 13 seed and Southern Conference champions, the Furman Paladins. Next, let's talk about the Maryland Terrapins. So for Maryland, they did win one game in the Big Ten tournament. They beat Minnesota before falling to Indiana in the Big Ten quarterfinals. Maryland lands as the 8th seed in that very same Southern region, and they will take on the 9 seed on Thursday out of the Big 12, the West Virginia Mountaineers. The first time those two have met since the 2015 NCAA tournament. Our last team to talk about is a team that's had an historical run this season out of Northwest Washington, D.C., the Howard Bison. After taking home their first regular season conference championship since 1987, Howard went all the way in the MEAC tournament, beating South Carolina State, Maryland Eastern Shore, and Norfolk State to capture their first MEAC championship and first NCAA appearance since 1992. The Bison land as the 16th seed in the West region, and they will take on the 1 seed and the Big 12 runner-up, the Kansas Jayhawks. So good luck to all three teams, Virginia, Maryland, and Howard. And now we move over to hockey and the Washington Capitals. So for the Capitals, it's getting into do-or-die territory, and the Capitals were up to the challenge on Saturday with a 5-1 win in New York. The win improves the Caps to 32-28-7, 71 points. They've gotten a point in 2 games in a row, and they sit in 6th place in the Metropolitan Division. So if the season ended today, they would miss the playoffs. Here's the week ahead for Washington. For the Capitals, the week begins on Tuesday when they head to New York to take on the Rangers. The Rangers come in at 37-9-10, 84 points, 3rd in the Metropolitan Division. So if the season ended today, they would play New Jersey in the first round. New York is coming off a 3-2 overtime loss in Pittsburgh on Sunday. They've gotten a point in 3 straight. This is the 3rd of 4 between the Caps and the Blue Shirts. Washington leads the season series 2-0. They beat New York 4-0 in New York on December 27th and beat the Rangers again 6-3 in D.C. on February 25th. After this, quick turnaround for the Caps as on Wednesday they return home to host the Buffalo Sabres. The Sabres are currently 32-28-5, 69 points, 6th in the Atlantic Division. So if the season ended today, they would miss the playoffs. Buffalo's coming off a 2-1 overtime loss to the Rangers on Saturday. They've lost 4 in a row. This is the last of 3 between the Caps and the Sabres. Buffalo leads the season series 2-0. They beat Washington 5-4 in overtime in D.C. on January 3rd, and then again 7-4 in Buffalo on February 26th. On Friday, the Capitals welcome in the St. Louis Blues. The Blues are currently 29-32-5, 63 points, 6th in the Central. If the season ended today, they would miss the playoffs. St. Louis is coming off a 5-3 loss to the Golden Knights on Sunday. Vegas scored the final 2 goals of the game after it was previously tied at 3. This is the last of 2 between the Caps and the Blues. St. Louis leads the season series 1-0 after beating Washington 5-4 in a shootout in St. Louis on November 17th. And for the Capitals, the week concludes on Sunday when they head to Minnesota to take on the Wild. The Wild are currently 38-21-8, 84 points, 2nd in the Central behind only Dallas. So if the season ended today, they would play Winnipeg in the first round. Minnesota's coming off a 5-4 overtime loss in Arizona on Sunday, but despite this, they're still on a 13-game point streak. They've recorded a point in every game in the month of March. This is the last of 2 between the Caps and the Wild. Minnesota leads the season series 1-0 after beating Washington 4-2 in D.C. on January 17th. And we're going to wrap up with the NBA and the Washington Wizards. So for the Wizards, once again, everything seems to be falling apart. Most recently, a 112-93 loss in Philadelphia on Sunday. The loss drops the Wiz to 31-37. They've lost 3 in a row and sit in 12th place in the Eastern Conference. So if the season ended today, they would miss the playoffs. Here's the week ahead for Washington. For the Wizards, the week begins on Tuesday when they return home to host the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons come in at 15-53, last in the East, and they have officially been eliminated from playoff contention. Detroit is coming off a 121-115 loss to the Pacers on Saturday. They've lost 11 in a row, and they're winless in the month of March. This is the last of 3 between the Wiz and the Pistons. Washington leads the season series 2-0 after beating Detroit 120-99 in D.C. on October 25th, and then again 119-117 in Detroit on March 7th. On Friday, the Wizards head to Cleveland to take on the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers are currently 43-27, the 4 seed in the East. If the season ended today, they would play Brooklyn in the first round. Cleveland's coming off a 114-108 win in Charlotte on Sunday, thanks to 28 points by Darius Garland. This is the last of 3 between the Wiz and the Cavs. Cleveland leads the season series 2-0. They beat Washington 117-107 in overtime in Cleveland on October 23rd, and then again 114-91 in DC on February 6th. And for the Wizards, the week concludes on Saturday when they return home to host the Sacramento Kings. The Kings are currently 40-26, the 2 seed in the Western Conference. If the season ended today, they would play the first winner of the play-in tournament. Sacramento's coming off a 128-119 win in Phoenix on Saturday. They've won 3 in a row. This is the last of 2 between the Wiz and the Kings. Washington leads the season series 1-0 after beating Sacramento 125-111 in Sacramento on December 23rd. And that's it for this update, but before we go, shout out to the DC Defenders who picked up another win over the Vegas Vipers on Sunday. They are now 4-0 to start the season. Until next time, I'm Evan Johnson, and we've got plenty of great content from Noah, Nadi, and Abdullah covering the Commanders as they start free agency. Until next time, again, I'm Evan, signing off.